Welcome to the My Voice in Power podcast. Oh, hello and welcome to the My Voice in Power podcast, which I have not done for quite some time now. So you're my first new welcome back guest.
Yay!
Hello.
So,
can you? Well, obviously I know your name already, but can you
Mhm.
tell the listeners your name and a little bit about yourself?
Okay, I didn't prepare for this bit. I am Lucy Joy Knight, and I am a counselling therapist and life coach. And I am now working from Vietnam, but currently visiting my family and everything in England. And yeah, I have been working. Well, when did I qualify? 2009 as a counselling therapist.
Mm-hmm.
And have worked with so many different people,
Yeah.
ages, everything, loads of different issues that have arisen, drugs and alcohol, young people with anger and trauma and everything like that. And now, just in the past year, been setting up a online therapy and life coach service, which
Wow.
I am just in the process of.
That was a lot about yourself, but
That was
all
a lot about
amazing.
myself.
Yeah, very well considering you hadn't prepared. But
No, exactly.
yeah, but I prefer when people don't necessarily prepare because then we get
Yeah.
more authentic answers and conversation.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I'm all about. I also like to dig deep, very deep.
Good. Oh, so do
Yeah.
I.
So, how long? You said you've come back home. How long are you here for?
That I still haven't booked my return ticket.
Are you going back?
So I know you said this before. I am.
Yeah.
But when did I get here? It was the 7th of March.
Mm-hmm.
No, April. We're in April, right?
We are in April. We're almost May. It's May
That's it.
tomorrow.
So 7th of April was when I got here. So that was like 3 and a bit weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I have actually just recently this week thought, oh yeah, I need to book a return ticket. So I'm thinking the end of May.
Okay.
So we'll see. I kind of just wanted to take it as just go as I please, and just. But I know I need to give it about a month to get a good ticket. But at the same time, I'm enjoying my time. It's taken a while to settle. I think that's the difference.
How long have you not been home for?
18 months, which wasn't as long as I thought it was going to be.
Okay, yeah.
So,
well, that's not bad considering how long you've actually not lived in the UK.
Yeah.
Because when did you first leave?
I left in 2017.
Wow.
Yeah. So how long is that now? 8 years? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm no good for numbers. Don't look at me.
2000. Yeah, 8 years. 2017. But when I moved to Vietnam, that was November 2023. I didn't have a clue when I was going to come back here.
Yeah.
So then it was kind of a bit of a weird decision because I just was prepared not to be coming back. So I didn't think I'd be coming back this soon. So when I said goodbye to people, it was more of this goodbye.
Yeah.
But now it was like, oh, by the way, I'm coming back. I was just like, okay. But yeah.
What made you leave in the first place?
In 2017? Oh, wow. Loads of things. It's funny because I just yesterday met up with my old colleague who employed me into the position I was working in when I left. And I just saw her yesterday and we were reminiscing a lot. And there was a lot going on at that time. It's going to get deep.
Yeah. Don't share anything you don't want to.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I went through like a real transition in my life, and I got to a place where it was almost like an awakening. And I realized that the life I was living was not the life I was meant to be living. And I went to therapy to try and figure out what was going on with me. And through that whole time, I had this like burning thing in my stomach. It was like anxiety, but it was trying to tell me something. And the more I ignored it, the louder it got. So in therapy, and my therapist is brilliant. He's a Gestalt therapist, which is very much going into the body, sitting with it. And I figured out that I was just living a life that wasn't meant for me anymore. I was a big people pleaser. and I was living my life for everyone else. But there was something in me screaming, your life is too short. You need to live now. And it was actually witnessing an accident that happened.
Oh.
On Friar Street, there was a lady that got hit by a bus and she died. And I was there when it happened. And that just made me realize that life is very short. That could have been me. It could have been anybody. You go out, you set out your day, and you just think that you're just going to be going back home again at the end of the day. And she didn't. And that was a massive eye-opener for me. And that was kind of where it all started. That was just before my 30th birthday as well. And through that, I realized I was in a marriage that I shouldn't have been in. And that was part of my therapy as well, was navigating that. Work was very heavy and overbearing. I asked for a sabbatical and they wouldn't give me a sabbatical.
Okay.
And so in the end, I just quit. I said to them that I need to leave. That was kind of when everything was, I just needed to travel. I was like, I just need to go and see the world. And I felt that all my energy that was going into this marriage, and he's not a bad guy at all. There's no hate or anything there, but it was just completely different people. And I was feeling like I was pouring into this lots and lots of things, but my energy was being wasted.
Right.
And I felt like it could be being poured elsewhere. And I had this real thing. I wanted to go to Africa. I wanted to volunteer. And I couldn't, it was almost like I couldn't stop thinking about it. And so I had to act on it.
Okay.
And so that's why I ended up going traveling for 4 months. And then after traveling for 4 months, I thought, I can't live back in the UK.
Wow.
Just felt like I couldn't, and ended up in Turkey. And that was a relationship which I'd kind of gone back to. We were friends. I was traveling, gone back to that relationship, went back to see him, that was after my marriage ended. After that, I think it was, I think 2 years I spent deciding what to do. It was a bit of a, I think it was a good 2 years. It wasn't like jumping. It was, the marriage ended, had 2 years to catch myself, get myself together. Work was difficult, but then had a part rent, part buy place, sold that, had the money, a bit of money from that, and I just thought, I'm going. I'm gonna go.
So the accident, it seems like you really like felt that.
Big time. That really, I remember facing this woman. I didn't even know her. I kind of went to get off on the bus, and it all just kind of happened. And the bus driver was there, I was here, and it was just this knowing that she had died, that she was dead. And I just kind of looked at the bus driver, and he looked at me, and then I just got off the bus, looked at this other woman, she looked at me, and it was all just silence. And me and her both just had this tear coming down our face. It was like, you could feel it. You could feel that it was just really heavy. And I think after that, I had to go to, I was a therapist at the time of a youth service. I was the coordinator, and I was going on my way to a school to deliver therapy sessions to young people. And I thought, what do I do? Like, what do I do now? You know, that woman's day is not carrying on, and I've got to get on with my day. It just felt really bizarre.
And did you continue your day?
Yeah.
And how, but I guess like you're going to work with young people, so I guess that kind of helped, I guess, in a way.
Well, that was a big reason. I went, like, working with young people. I switched from working with adults with drug and alcohol issues to work with young people, because they basically said that if they had the support when they were young, they probably wouldn't be in the position they're in. And the service did get more target driven, and it didn't morally agree with me. So then I saw a position come up with young people. But then going there, I think the team and the school were brilliant. So I had some time to kind of gather myself and call a couple of people and able to ground myself. And then I kind of reminded myself that the young people that were there waiting for their appointments, they need me, and I'm gonna go and put my stuff down now. I just had that time to gather myself, and then afterwards. And in some ways, it's kind of when you're working with young people, it's their life is still fresh and new, and
you want to try to help them preserve that.
Definitely.
So, and I liked what you were saying about the feeling you had here. So, as you know, I've had trauma myself, and that was one of the biggest things, as it was clearing away. That's where it felt like there was space. And that's when I felt really lost, where it was like someone had removed something from that area. And then, so now, like, that's what I've had to learn to, like, fill back up. And it's caught my mind as well, because also I've been doing yoga, and the last yoga session that I was at, the instructor was saying, like, this is where, like, if we were plug sockets, this is where it would be. You'd be plugged into in that way. So it's all really interesting, and you're the first person I've come across that has mentioned that they've had that feeling like there.
That's always, if it's funny, because I think I even did a TikTok video about it, of when you feel, it's just when I feel it there, I can't ignore it. It's just like my it's your center. And if there is a feeling, if I have something here, it's like, okay, like, let's work through this, or somewhere else. But when it's here, it just, for some reason, it's very significant. And I think when I get that, it's something I can't ignore.
So for you, is that the same as your intuition?
I say it's my gut. Gut intuition. Gut feeling. My mum, I remember I would say stuff like, but my gut is telling me something's off, or my gut is telling me no. And I said to her, you know me, if my gut is telling me something, I've got to follow it. And she went, yes, I know you. Because there's been plenty of times my gut has taken me in directions she probably didn't want me to go in. And that's been a bit of a difficult thing before, but the therapy works through a lot of that. And me and my mum have, like, had some amazing conversations about that. But that, it's my gut.
And how has it been for your mum, actually, with you, like, leaving and stuff like that?
Oh, it's funny, because she's in the next room. We're in the house. It's been an interesting journey. Me and my mum have always been very close. And I think when I was going through all of that, and this was, I literally say it was screaming at me. It got to a point where I even drew it, this feeling. It was a big silver ball like this, heavy, like a lead weight, but it was on fire. And at times, sometimes it would be on fire in the dark, but it wasn't creating light.
Oh, wow.
It was, I drew it. That was my part of my therapy. And, but there was no light coming from it. So it's just pitch black around it. And it was just screaming to be listened to. It's almost like, if you listen to me, you pay attention to me, and you follow me, the lightness will come. That's what it kind of felt like. So when I was feeling all of that, and I couldn't ignore it, obviously I made some massive decisions in my life. I think my mum was terrified. She was scared, because I ended a marriage. I lived here in that time because my ex was still living in the apartment. And I think that took, like, I think it was like 10 months for that to all kind of work over. And in that 10 months, I think my mum really struggled to understand. And eventually she started to come around. We had to have some very hard conversations, definitely. And I think because my mum has got, obviously, we've all got our own trauma. And I think there was a lot of, it was triggering my mum's stuff. And then we would have, but the fact that we have such a good relationship, we were able to talk about that. And I was able to reflect that back as well, that is this actually about me, or is this about that?
And I find that that's really interesting as well, because they say if you have trauma and you have a child the same sex as you, when they reach those ages where trauma was for you, it sparks it even without you like even realizing.
Yeah.
So, and I always find that, like, some people get really angry with their parents, they get really upset, and I think, but there are tools and things that we have access to that they didn't. And so do you think that you being a therapist helped with that part of the process with your mum?
100%. Yeah, definitely. I think because I could see what was happening, and if I hadn't been a therapist myself, I probably would have been against my mum and like, what's your problem? Like, it would
Yeah.
have been probably butting heads a lot more, but
Mm.
instead it was a case of sitting down and saying, is this actually me, or is this a feeling you've got
Yeah.
from your own stuff, and this is triggering it? And that was a big shift, I think, that conversation in our relationship, because I did find it difficult, because going through what I was going through and not feeling understood was hard.
Yeah.
And being understood was one of the things for me growing up. I never
Mm.
felt heard, because I'm one of
Right.
4
Yeah.
and I'm the youngest. They
Yeah.
all had big personalities as well. So that was always a thing. But I had to keep following this. This is
Yeah.
yeah.
And so that's basically guided you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And
you
then
weren't scared or anything
I
of this?
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was scared. I think when I actually left,
Mm.
my mum was more, because that was the question, wasn't it? How did she feel about me leaving?
Yeah.
Because like I said, it was like a 2-year process from me and my husband breaking up to me actually leaving to travel. She'd kind of come round to the idea.
Okay.
And I think she started to see how I was changing and how I was growing. But she cried a lot at the airport.
Yeah.
And hugged me tons, because I kind of said, I don't know how long it's going to be. But I knew at that point I wasn't scared anymore. I was so excited. I couldn't wait. I felt like I was being unleashed. I felt like it wasn't like afraid to take that step off the cliff at that point. I was ready to jump. I could not wait. And I was like, come on, just let me go. Just let me go. Just let me go. That's what it felt like.
Have you felt like you've belonged in all the places that you've been to?
That's a good question. How do I feel like I belong? Do you know what's really funny? Because recently, I've actually been thinking, where do I belong? Like, I feel, and that's a weird feeling. It's unsettling, but at the same time, it doesn't unsettle me. It's weird. I kind of am used to not really knowing where I belong.
Yeah. Is that because you trust the process because it's been positive for you?
Yeah, I do trust the process. Some places I didn't stay all that long. I was in Tanzania for 1 month volunteering there, and that was one of, I remember turning to the person I was sharing a room with and just saying, I've never felt so happy. I felt so happy. There was just such a simplicity about it. And waking up, and I love dancing and I love music, and I particularly love African music and Afro beats and dancing. And I was getting everyone I possibly could to teach me more dance moves. Yeah. So we would get up and have breakfast and go into the little minivan to go on to our projects. And there was a song, and it's in my head now. I don't know what it's called, but it's a Tanzanian song. And it's just such a happy, cool, fun song. And we'd be in the minivan like this. And I was just like, I'm so happy. Like, I've never felt so, probably never is a strong word, but I hadn't felt that happy and free for a very long time. Yeah. And I think the reason why, and Tanzania was the end of my 4-month trip, I think the reason why it was there was because I'd experienced and seen everything that I'd seen. And there I felt so full that I could give. And so it was the right way to do the volunteering at the end, because I was so full of stuff and good energy and experiences that I could then give, and did work with the young, really little kids. I was looking at videos the other day, the Maasai, teaching them to read and write Swahili and English, to speak English, and the older people as the Waze, and they were beautiful. They love dancing as well. Yeah. And that, I think it was just such a joy to be around people that had they're just simplicity. It's complete simplicity, but they were so full of joy. And that really, and I'm full joyful now talking about it.
And your name as well in your business.
My middle name,
yeah.
Joy. Yeah.
So have you picked up any languages then?
I have. You know what, Swahili I've lost that because that was back in 2017. I probably, because it's an easy language, but Turkish.
Okay.
Yeah. So I lived there for 6 years, so I can speak quite a bit of Turkish. Yeah. I haven't spoken it since I left.
Yeah.
Apart from when we ordered a kebab the other day. And so I just said, he had no idea. And at the end of it, I went, görüşürüz. And that basically means goodbye. I went, kendine iyi bak, take care. And he went, iyi akşamlar. This is good night. And he was like, So I thought I'll just throw it in there.
Yeah, they love that though, don't they? Like, you come across people and you can speak their language.
Yeah. I should have ordered.
Yeah, I thought that's what you were going to say.
I could have ordered the kebab in Turkish. I should have done. But I realised I still remember it all, which is good. Yeah.
Cool.
But Vietnamese is very hard.
Okay. To
hard.
write and speak, or just speak?
Both. Yeah. It's a completely different language. It's a lot of tonal sounds.
Okay.
So I have to learn those. A little bit in Turkish, there were a couple of tones that were difficult to pick up.
Yeah.
But once I got them, it was okay. But it's a lot more in Vietnamese.
Okay.
A lot more.
Wow.
So I know, I think the first thing I learned was no sugar, because they put sugar in coffee from the get-go, and I don't drink sugar. So I learned black coffee, no sugar, or black iced coffee, no sugar.
Okay, yeah.
And hello, of course, and thank you. Yeah, that's all I know. 18 months, enough. But I've had my head elsewhere.
Yeah. So is there anywhere that you have not been yet that you would like to go to?
There's loads of places. I'm just thinking where would jump out. As Hong Kong has been up there recently. A lot of people have mentioned Hong Kong to me recently, and that's a place that I'd love to go.
Yeah.
There's so many. I'd love to see everywhere. I'd love to go everywhere.
Yeah.
But South America is the place that because of the dancing as well, the Latin dancing, I love. So I really do want to go to South America. Okay. I'd love to. And everywhere. I don't just want to, if I'm in Brazil, it's got to be when the carnival is on. I want to go to Mexico when they have the Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. Peru, I really, really want to do the Inca Trail. But then some places it's just to go and experience and be and meet the people and be part of the culture.
Yeah. So you like that? Yeah.
I love that.
That's what I'd love to go. Well, I have left the country as a child, but like I've never been like anywhere like on my own or like as an adult. But I like the idea of going somewhere and being in and around the people, not just sat in the hotel like round the pool like doing nothing. Yeah.
Where would you want to go?
I've always wanted to go to Morocco. I don't know, just anywhere hot, I think. Yeah. I'm not fussy.
To get away from this weather. I know. It's funny because everyone here, because the sun's out and everything, like, it's so lovely and hot. And because being in Vietnam, it is never cold. You may get an evening, if it's been raining all day, where there's a little bit of a chill. But to most people, that's still t-shirt weather. To me, it is I need a cardigan.
Yeah.
I think I've worn a cardigan once in the 18 months I've been there.
Okay. And
I was missing being snuggled up under a blanket, because there I'm just even hanging out in the house. You've got the air conditioning on in the evening with shorts and a t-shirt or a vest top.
Yeah.
And I love getting snuggled up, but I couldn't there.
It's too hot.
So it's too hot. The only you whack the air conditioning on cold enough.
Yeah.
And then your electricity bill is really high.
Yeah.
Just so that you can cuddle up under a blanket. It just seems pointless. Yeah. Wow. But it is cool. And the people in Vietnam are amazing.
Yeah.
But I also found, I think Tanzania also, because I was immersed in the culture there as well. But But yeah, I completely agree with you, not doing the whole hotel,
Yeah.
like, and everything.
I mean, I
It's
guess it's
nice
probably
to,
nice for a few days, but even then, like, I just think so many other people must be sat there, like, they're also on holiday. Like, I like the idea of peace and warmth, but I'd want
mm,
to do that with a better scenery than the hotel pool.
mm,
Yeah.
mm. I did that in Bali. I went to Bali in October, and to me, it was just bizarre, the whole Bali thing, because obviously, if you're coming from England to go to Bali
Mm.
for a holiday, it's like the holiday of a lifetime. Like, that's how I would have always seen it.
Yeah.
And I just realized that it's, for me, was a 4 hour flight. Maybe not even that. I can't remember how long the flight was. Obviously, the flight was cheap in comparison to how it would be from the UK. And it felt like it was on my doorstep. And I
Yeah.
was kind of like, this feels weird that I'm just hopping to Bali as if it's, I think that's the thing when you've been traveling, as if it's not, as if it's nothing, because I really appreciated it.
Mm.
But at the same time, it was kind of like, when I think about where I've come from, and I never thought ever in a million years
Yeah.
that I would have even been going on holiday out of the country at all, to doing what I do now, and been to, I think, 23 countries.
Yeah. Oh, what do you do with all your stuff?
What do I do with my stuff?
Like, because obviously, like, you think moving furniture and all your items and stuff like that, like,
Yeah, this is the thing. Like, when you've been traveling, when I went traveling for the first time in 2017, I lived out of a 30-liter backpack for 4 months. And when you can do that for 4 months, you kind of realize that things don't matter,
mm.
and possessions and stuff is not important. So then I got rid of, well, when I went away and sold the apartment, I sold everything. I sold all my
Yeah.
furniture, but all my furniture I sold off really cheap. And all I had was my clothes. And I did have a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But then in the end, after traveling, I realized I don't need this stuff. I ended up giving it to charity shops.
Yeah.
My mum's charity shop did great for my stuff. And then when I moved to Turkey, and obviously I settled there, and had a place where there was furniture, I ended up selling all of that again, and I fit my whole entire life into 2 suitcases. And one suitcase I left here when I went to Vietnam, because I had all my winter clothes, and then I went to Vietnam with one suitcase. And I can't just say one suitcase. I have a really good way of making the most of my weight allowance, because I had like a neck pillow stuffed with clothes.
I like it. Life hack. Life hack.
It's very good.
Yeah.
I think it was the last thing I bought. I was like, oh no, I'm over my weight allowance. Okay, let's just stuff this with clothes.
Yeah.
And just put it around your neck as you're checking in. I had about 3 or 4 jackets tied around my waist.
Yeah.
And I made sure I probably was 10 kilos over or something ridiculous. But yeah, then you're just like not attached to stuff anymore. It's you end up accumulating things, but then I just sell them. And then,
but don't they have any like sentimental value to
sentimental stuff? I still do have a few bits I left in Turkey because I couldn't bring it back, like photos and things are still at my friend's house in Turkey, which I will get back here eventually.
Yeah.
So things like that, yes. I had a couple of things that had sentimental value, and I ended up losing them. And when I went through that whole process of, oh my God, I've lost that, and it was this, and it meant this and this and this. And then I realized I have all the memories that are attached to that item. It's gone. There's nothing I can do about it. It's gone. But I still have the memories. I still have all of that inside of me. So that kind of gave me that feeling of, okay, or I have photos of that. But there are certain things I do have that are sentimental, but they're all small things. They're not big things.
Yeah.
So it's easier. Yeah.
Cool.
But that was a big, hard job though, packing up everything in Turkey and moving that. trying to get it all into 2 suitcases was not easy.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. But do you do counselling everywhere you go?
Everywhere I go. It's strange because getting clients everywhere I go, no, because when I was traveling, do you mean pick up clients from the places I go?
Yeah, because obviously your job is your job. It's been your job for, did we say 8 years? No?
Well, I was qualified in 2009, and then 8 years ago I went traveling. When I went traveling, I took a break from therapy. I really needed to take a break and spend time on myself.
Yeah.
So everything that I was kind of, I say, therapizing people through, I had to do for myself as well because of everything I was going through. So I took a break, and then I monetized my other hobbies, fitness and cake decorating, which are 2 polar opposites. Eat this cake, but come to my fitness class.
Yeah.
But I loved that was a big hobby when I was in England as well. Before I went away, I made that into a business.
Yeah, your mum does cakes as well, though, doesn't she? Yes, I remember her teaching me how to make fondant flowers.
Yeah,
many
we
years
were just
ago.
talking about that. So I got that from my mum, and watching her make cakes and helping her, I think, and always being in a house where you could bake whenever you wanted. There were always ingredients. And so I was doing, and in Turkey, English people miss English cake. Because the Turkish cake just doesn't come to the...
I remember, was it Tweety Pie cakes that you done?
Oh yeah, I did do Tweety Pie. Yeah. You've seen my Instagram.
I want some of those before you go back.
Lucylicious Cakes and Bakes, it was called. It became so... I just did it as like a way of making some money whilst I was there, and it became a business for about 2 years.
Oh wow.
And then it became too much of a full-on business. But the thing is, in Turkey, the value of cake is not the same as it is here. So in England, you can spend, say, 5 hours decorating a cake for a wedding or whatever. You're going to get paid for those 5 hours, but people kind of appreciate that takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
Because like wedding cakes and those kind of professional birthday cakes, they're quite expensive here. But in Turkey, there was a mentality of it. You couldn't really. So I was literally, I think, paying myself like £2.50 an hour. That's kind of what it felt like.
Yeah.
So I was doing a lot of hours to make ends meet. And then I wanted to focus more on the fitness stuff. So I started to dwindle that down.
Yeah.
And then bring up the fitness stuff. And then that's when the therapy came back in again, because I felt called to go back to therapy. But I wouldn't say I've been a therapist in all the other countries. I am a therapist, full stop. So I feel like I'm always being a therapist.
Yeah. Sorry.
In many ways.
Something sparked up in my brain. I'm sorry. I will let you answer the question after. It seems like you pick up therapy every time you change something.
Yeah. I think I'm very aware when I'm in a place where I need to focus on me.
Yeah.
And I think with therapy, many therapists, when I speak to them, it's really healthy to take a break.
Yes.
Because I was doing it from, that would have been good 8 years with no break.
Yeah.
And then I took a break, but I felt like I was going through a lot of my own personal stuff. And I think that's really important as well. If you're going through your own personal stuff, it's being able to be in a good place to be able to continue that. And when I'm feeling in that space in my life where I guess it is a bit of a change, it feels like I'm ready to give back. I'm ready to do that. And I haven't thought about it like that. That's interesting.
Yeah, but you're right, it is good to take a break, because also you have to be able to have time to put into practice what you've learned without becoming dependent on your therapist. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
definitely. Yeah. Yeah. And I think for my own, were you talking about my therapy being a
yeah,
therapist, my own personal
your
therapy?
own personal therapy.
Oh, right. Sorry, I thought you were talking about me giving therapy.
No.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
got you mixed around. Yeah, in that time, when I was switching from cake decorating, going more into the fitness business, it was later. I could have done with therapy then, I couldn't afford it. That was difficult. At that
Okay.
point, I knew I wanted therapy, but I couldn't
Mm.
afford it. So I was very much self reflecting a lot, doing a lot of internal work.
Mm.
And then it got to a point where that relationship that I was in Turkey ended.
Yeah.
And then I definitely went and thought, right, I need to do this. But that was a different type of therapy as well that I did there. It was called journey work, as journey therapy. And because I got into meditation and visualization and kind of more again going into the body, and the journey therapy is basically a really long guided meditation hypnotherapy type session. It
Yeah.
can last about 3.5 hours. And well, mine did anyway.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be about 2.5, but that first one was a long one. And that was incredible. And so rather than a weekly 50-minute session, it was one big long session to do a whole process. And it was kind of inner child work or facing somebody that you needed to work through your resentment around or issues around.
It's you sound really aligned with that, because with the visualization that you had with the gut feeling and what it looked like, you drew that, and now you've ended up in like visualization meditation therapy.
Yeah. And that's now the road that I'm more interested in, kind of coming away from just talking therapy. But the therapy that I trained in is person-centered. So it's very much guided around the person that's sat in front of you and what are their needs, and how are you going to draw upon your skills as a therapist and the tools and everything that you have and able to help them. So for one client, I may be more directive. They may need more CBT techniques, or that might be their learning style. Whereas I could have someone who really, really doesn't know how to verbalize their feelings, so we go into the visualization, and maybe they need more breathing techniques, or some people just want to hash it out talking. So it's learning all of those different skills,
and that's good. And I think that that's really, really important. And like at the end of it, they'll get to enjoy themselves, which matches your name, which is Enjoy You.
Enjoy You was my name for my therapy service. Enjoy You, because I really want people to know that joy isn't just out there. It's not something you go in seeking for outside of you and doing things to bring you joy, that actually your joy is already in you. And it's about unlocking that joy, finding what that is. And most of that is about connecting with yourself and getting to know yourself, rather than trying to fit into a mold that you feel that society's created, that you have to fit into that box. It's about, actually, I'm an individual, and what is it about me that makes me unique and I'm happy with, and all of that, and getting to love yourself, warts and all, I say, like all parts of yourself. And that's where the joy is.
And that is also scary, I think. Like, and I think that's something that people are not necessarily prepared for. I don't think healing ever feels like what anybody imagines that it feels like. Like, you're not just going to be like, oh, I'm healed, like I can do this and I can do that. Like, some of it's like that sometimes, but
there's moments like that.
But a lot of it is like, you have to learn to be able to feel the new you, in order to be able to be the new you, and realizing how much power you hold for yourself and your life, and the influence that you can have on others without even realizing is quite a scary thing. I think people are more scared of their power than they are of anything else.
It's really daunting. It's funny you said you need to find you to be you. That was on my website. Find you, be you, heal you, live for you.
Yeah.
because it is really, I think it was find you, heal you. You got to connect with yourself first to understand what it is that needs healing.
Yeah.
And what's going on in there. And then it's about starting to work on that, healing it, and able to be you, find out who you truly are. And I think big part of that as well is when you are trying to be you, a lot of people don't know who they are. And I always thought I did know who I was until I went to therapy. I talk about when I was going through marriage stuff and witnessing that lady. I sat in that chair and I thought, actually, do I? Because most of the time we're made up of what other people project onto us of who we are.
Yeah.
Or boxes that, I always use boxes that we're fitting in because we realize that that's what keeps others happy or is safe for us because we're fearful of voicing bringing our voice out. And when you start to actually really look at that and then being you without all of that, it's empowering, but it's vulnerable.
And that's the other thing as well, isn't it? Also, without bringing out yourself and even your weirdness. But what did I see the other day? Be yourself so that your people can find you, and your weird, vulnerable self is who you are. And really, those are the people that you want to be with, which is probably why half the time we're never happy in friendships, relationships, and all this other stuff, because we're not really aligned with the people that we're around, because they don't match the inner self. They match what the society self that we portray.
Yeah. And when you are able to be vulnerable, if you have people that accept you in that place, that's incredibly healing as well.
Oh yeah,
it's amazing. It's really, I'm really blessed to have a few friends that I can really be that way with and not have to worry about the messiness of it or anything like that. Definitely. But you can't find those people if you're always putting on a front.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So where is your business going now?
Right now, so I've been here for 2 weeks and all I've been doing is
so you're having a break, you're allowed a holiday.
I know, it felt like a holiday. It's been great seeing everybody. And for me, I think coming back, and I think when we had a chat before, you'd mentioned it, is this coming back has been, it's thrown up a lot for me, and I'm very aware, and I have to reflect a lot. And sometimes I wish I wasn't so deep in this kind of stuff and thinking that I could just go with it. I can be in the moment, but it's when I'm on my own, I reflect a lot, and I'm very aware of how I'm feeling. But just recently, now that I feel like I've settled, I've grounded a bit more with regards to family and everything, I'm starting to shift on, okay, what's the next steps? What am I doing next? Making sure I've got my TikTok videos going. That's been a thing.
What's your TikTok account?
It's Lucy Joy Knight. So I've changed it so that it's my name.
Okay.
And then it's just easier for people to remember in that sense. But joy is the emphasis. I'm just lucky that it's my middle name. I'm lucky about that. So then I think there's so many things I want to do. That's the thing. I'm seeing clients. I have a mixture. I still have 2 fitness clients actually that I still see online. And they've been with me for years. So it's just, one's kind of on and off, and the other one literally has been 4.5 years. He's been working with me online. And then I have a coaching client, and that's mainly coaching. And then I have a couple of therapy clients as well. And I'm trying to go into growing more into the niche. It's only been a year since I've kind of put myself out there. Is this business?
So coaching, let's be a bit more specific. Are we life coaching, sports coaching, fitness coaching?
So that's more more, I want to say, it's therapeutic coaching, because you're always going to get, I call it now therapeutic coaching, and it is recognized by the BACP, British Association of Counselling and Psychotherapy, just in case people don't know what that is. And because I realized that even as a coach, I'm always bringing my therapy skills. I am a therapist through and through. Like, and I think I embody the core conditions of person-centered therapy anyway in my personality. So, but with the coaching side of it, it's more directive than a typical therapy session would be, whereas a therapy session would be more kind of just going with what's coming up in the room, and feelings and processing, and maybe experimenting with a few ideas and things like that. Whereas the coaching side, we are working towards a particular goal, and we are putting action points in. And with my coaching as well, there's because it's not normally weekly, I think it can be fortnightly, but there can be some contact between the sessions. So to make sure that my clients are on track, or so say we've implemented a morning gratitude, and morning gratitude and breathing exercises to help reduce the anxiety. There may be check-ins to see how is that going, so that there's accountability, that kind of thing. So that's mainly the coaching, but it's more therapeutic coaching.
So do like clients have to book you for like one or the other?
I think in the assessment, we can kind of figure out what, because I'd like to tailor things based upon my client. Again, it's very person-centered. So it's what would work best for them, given what's coming up for them. And and I've now changed my therapy sessions to, you can, because normally traditionally it's 50 minutes is a counselling hour, but that's not always, if someone's really in the depth of something and then it's like, all right, time's up, it's so difficult. It's really, really difficult. And I remember when I was trained, I think therapy is definitely evolved, and I think it's become a lot more personable. And I feel when you're training as a therapist, you are very like following everything, the rules. But I think that with experience, and many other counsellors that I know, and even on Instagram I see there's someone I follow, and it's brilliant because she's just so human. But you can, for me, I say we can book an hour and a half. It doesn't have to be 50 minutes. If it's an hour and a half, that's fine as well. So normally in the consultation we can figure out what would be best suited to their needs, to the client's needs. But it's just that I have the skills of both, and we can work that in a way that works for the client.
That's great. It sounds so ideal as well. So how can people book a session with you?
How can they book a session with me? Get in contact. Anyway, shape or form. I make it as easy. So I have a website. Everything is Lucy Joy Knight. So my website is lucyjoyknight.com. I've just managed to get that domain, which is great. My website is still being tweaked and zhuzhed. So at the moment I still like it, I still love it, but I'm still zhuzhing. Instagram is Lucy Joy Knight, TikTok Lucy Joy Knight, and my email I think is on all of those platforms as well. Even on TikTok you can just hit email me. Yes, and we can have a chat. And the thing is as well, is the consultation is free.
That's great.
So the initial consultation, even if you just want to chat just to see if it's for you, and I'm a big believer that it's really important that the person you work with is someone that you feel comfortable with. You have to feel comfortable, because it's not only in person-centered therapy is the counselor turning up being non-judgmental, genuine and everything. You actually have to feel that from them. And I think that's really important. You have to feel safe, and any good therapist will not feel frustrated or annoyed if you choose not to work with them. They would not be, they would understand that.
Exactly.
I would completely understand that.
Sorry, I just want, it's interesting you said you have to feel safe, and I get, you do. I guess for me, like, I'm a very, like, I was going to say self-centered, but I don't even mean it in the way that it is meant. Like, I'm very much an alone person, so like support networks and stuff like that is not really something I've really had. So to know, like, how do you know that you feel safe with someone if you don't know how safe feels?
That's a good question.
Yeah. And so for me, when I did my therapy, when I was kind of like old enough to like get a hang of it and go for myself, for me, it was more about being like, knowing I wanted to heal and be better, and just wanting to get it done. And so that was my focus, that was my drive to do it. So I think as long as, I do feel like you have to get along with your therapist, but I feel like as long as you yourself are there for the right reasons as well, and you're being honest. They always say be honest with your therapist, but ultimately you're being honest with yourself.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
And that's how come the therapist is able to help you in the way that they are, and you'll still get the same good results.
Yeah, definitely. I think with I know that it depends on the type of therapy as well, but you could have a therapist that they trigger certain points, but that can also be a good thing sometimes if you're able to work through that. But if it is very new to you, that could feel too difficult. So it's a case of finding someone who fits your style, but you may then get to those things later. But it does depend on the person, definitely. I think it's really,
you have to be ready as well. Like my therapist like picked up on so many things. But like, it was good.
I think being ready is a huge thing. That was a big difference I noticed in working with young people to working with adults as well, because when adults are coming to therapy through choice, they already kind of know what they need to work on. It's their decision. They're going because they feel that they need to. They may not necessarily want to be going, but they know they need to be there, and they kind of have an understanding of what they want to focus on. Whereas when a young person comes to therapy, especially in a school environment, they're sent to therapy. And then that's a new way as a therapist, was something to work with and make it about the young person, rather than you've been sent here because you have anger problems and you're disrupting the class. It's like, okay, let's make this about you. And I loved working with young people, brilliant. And I still would love to work with more young people, but they didn't have that kind of knowing that they were ready.
And I know what you mean, because my first ever counselling session, I was 11, and I remember being it was group counselling, and all I knew is that we were all there for the same reason, and all I remember is folding an A3 piece of paper into 4, and we had to draw something in each little box that described ourselves to the other people in in the group, and that's it.
Wow.
So it's funny, like
different memories and things. But I think you do need to be there because you feel ready to be there. And sometimes it can get scary, it can get challenging, and there's a point where I always say to clients that it can, if you go away and feel quite overwhelmed, there can be people that are like, oh no, it's too soon, I'm not ready, or anything like that. But it's also very normal for things to be brought up, because it is literally like you're taking the lid off of all that stuff that you've kind of kept together, you're trying to keep together. But that's the process with your therapist, is doing it in ways that's manageable for you. So that's why it's really good to be honest with the process, with yourself, with your therapist, so that you're able to move at a pace that works.
Yeah.
But a therapist will every now and then challenge, and that's their job, to challenge certain things, because they're going to bring it, but it's always a kind challenge, but it's something they've noticed that maybe you haven't noticed, they're going to bring back in front of you, and like, oh yeah, I haven't seen that, I didn't see it that way, and that's what they're there for. Certain things that you probably haven't picked up on at first, that can feel quite scary.
It is, and I think the whole process can be like a bit scary, but as you start to work through things, and especially when you start to realize things as well, I mean, as an adult, one of the first reasons I went to therapy is because my partner at the time always told me I was crazy and needed help. And so to go to therapy to find out, actually, I'm not crazy, I need help, to get away from you, and like now, like I can do that. So he done himself an injustice, I suppose, or disservice in a way, because he told me I was crazy so much and that I needed help so much that I went to get the help, to realise I didn't need to be with him.
Realised that I wasn't the problem, that he's the problem. And that moment in therapy was like like,
it was.
Wow.
And also, like, you go and there are things that you don't even realise that you need to heal from, like you were saying before, because like, I mean, I went to therapy for the major parts of my trauma. Like, it was all relevant, but there are certain major events that stand out. But actually, then you learn to pick up like the underlying causes, like that connect to your family pattern and how you've ended up in this cycle, in this situation. And like, so like, I mean, majority of my abuse has been by men, but actually I learned that actually I don't just pick up bad, like, romantic relationships, I also pick up bad friendships, because like the women who I was brought up around didn't know how to be the right type of women because of the things that they had been through. And so it was a lot. But
if you've been in an environment where boundaries haven't been demonstrated, or certain things have ways or behavior, it's like that generational trauma kind of being brought down and down, and you haven't had that, you haven't seen it put into practice, and it's something that you're just going to go about life thinking is normal. And then you get this light bulb moment, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, I have to learn this. And as an adult, that's a big thing, because you think, well, I should have known this all along. It's I've had lots of those moments, lots and lots of those moments. And even now I'm constantly reflecting, but I reflect on, oh, okay, so that's why I'm like that. Or and I notice it even more with the family stuff, being away and then coming back, and I'm changed, different, I'm everything, and I come back and I notice things even more, and then that gets me processing. That's definitely happened whilst I've been here this time as well. And it's like, oh, okay, I get that now, I get why that's like that. And I think we're always evolving, developing, growing. It's such a big process, definitely. And sometimes you can have something that happens that is the catalyst for all these other realizations. I think going back to the accident with that, the woman, that unlocked so much, because I realized how unhappy I was with my life. At that point, I knew I was unhappy in my relationship, and you kind of suppress that, because it's like, no, it's okay, everything's fine, this is how it is. But I didn't realize that, I don't even think I would have said I was unhappy. I was just going through the motions of what was expected. We never should have got married, and it wasn't until I was in therapy exploring all the other stuff that I then started to look at my life, and that was the therapist helping me to, guiding me through that I started to realize I wasn't living my life for me at all. But it took that event to happen for me to really do that. And I wonder how long it would have taken me to get there if that hadn't have happened as well. It's all these different things. Yeah.
Well, I think the great thing about your service, though, is that you've got the therapeutic background as well as the coaching background. So it means that once you've kind of like done your therapy, you can then also help coach the person to be where they want to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And a lot of it is around boundaries. A lot of the coaching I do is around boundary setting, because that has to be more directive, like giving people, okay, this is how we go about that. And navigating toxic relationships is another kind of more of a coaching, because the therapy side is the figuring out why I'm in that situation and healing. And then the coaching is like, how do I make sure this doesn't happen again? And that's part of the boundaries. But also when you said about not only relationships, but also your friendships, definitely, because you'll notice that there's lots of, it's more about you being able to put boundaries in, or you recognizing certain things like gaslighting or whatever, which also come in all kinds of relationships, friendships, family relationships. But then coaching people through that and understanding those things, definitely.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. High five.